Thank you. As always, it's a real privilege to be here and to recognize our award recipients. I'll admit I'm a bit unnerved that this marks my 16th appearance. What unfolded next was the kind of moment the palace praise never reaches the public eye. Swift, deliberate, and fueled by years of quietly brewing resentment. Behind the velvet curtains and gilded portrait frames, Princess Anne made a move so unexpected that it rendered palace staff speechless. With one calculated act, she stripped Queen Camilla of a royal title long woven into Camilla's image, authority, and place beside the king. More shocking than the act itself was the person responsible for it. Princess Anne, often hailed as the royal family's no-nonsense workhorse, commands respect for her discipline and tireless dedication. She's just as famous for her bluntness, and never hesitates to speak her mind even when it comes to her own relatives. To seasoned royal observers, this wasn't just a break from protocol. It was deeply personal. Anne and Camilla's chilly history, from frosty exchanges at official events to rumored confrontations behind palace doors, had finally burst into public view. The fallout was immediate. Camilla's reaction? Furious. Insiders say she was blindsided, humiliated, and intent on discovering who had quietly backed Anne's move. Almost overnight, Buckingham Palace's normally polished halls felt more like battle lines. And suddenly everyone was asking, was Anne administering principled royal oversight, or was this a calculated strike in a long-running power struggle? The blow itself landed quietly but decisively, worded with the kind of formal phrasing designed to hide its bite beneath layers of tradition. In a brief announcement, Princess Anne confirmed that one of Queen Camilla's long-held ceremonial titles had been revoked. To outsiders, the title may have seemed minor. In reality, it granted Camilla prominence at key state events, ensuring her name appeared beside the king's on select official occasions. For years, it served as a subtle reminder of her elevated station. Removing it wasn't just administrative, it was a deliberate reshaping of royal optics. Even more shocking was that Anne initiated the decision herself. Usually, such steps come directly from the monarch or through discreet advisory channels. But this time, Anne acted in her authority as a senior working royal, reportedly backed by a small but influential group who felt the title had grown outdated and symbolically inappropriate. For palace insiders, the meaning was unmistakable. It's rare enough to strip a title from someone in Camilla's position, almost unheard of when the move comes from inside the family, especially the king's own sister. Whispers throughout Buckingham Palace painted a portrait of meticulous timing. But before we continue, we'd love for you to hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this video. If you just did, we truly appreciate it. Now, let's get back to the main content. With the monarchy facing mounting public scrutiny and polls revealing mixed feelings toward Camilla, this decision seemed driven more by optics than by protocol. While the official statement framed it as part of the royal family's modernization efforts, few bought that explanation. For seasoned royal observers, it was a signal of deeper fractures within the House of Windsor. This wasn't just about tweaking ceremonial titles, it was about power, influence, and the internal pecking order that governs palace life. For Camilla, it felt like a very public blow to a symbol that had reinforced her authority for years, made all the more painful by who delivered it. The rivalry between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla has quietly simmered for decades. Though both women have spent their lives performing royal duty under relentless public gaze, their views on monarchy couldn't be more different. Anne has earned a reputation as the family's steely workhorse, direct, disciplined, and famously unimpressed by unnecessary fuss or personal privilege. Camilla, meanwhile, has forever been framed, fairly or not, by her unusual, controversial path to the throne. Her complicated romance with the king, the ghost of Princess Diana, and her gradual winning over of the press have colored every perception of her. Their differences sharpened in the early 2000s as Camilla's role in public life expanded. Anne, a veteran of traditional royal service, reportedly bristled at what she saw as standards being bent to accommodate her brother's relationship. Outwardly cordial, she nevertheless let her feelings slip. A pointed comment at a state supper here, a rather frosty interaction at a charity gala there, each moment hinting at a deeper disdain. Over time, those moments calcified into what palace insiders quietly called a Cold War. Anne remained committed to a stripped-back, duty-first monarchy, while Camilla leaned into her role as the king's softer, more publicly engaging partner. So when Anne moved to revoke Camilla's ceremonial title, it wasn't a random act. It was a carefully timed culmination of years of silent rivalry. Her message was unmistakable. In her version of the monarchy, titles are earned through hard work, not acquired by marriage. Though the action was delivered via impeccably respectful royal wording, the meaning hit hard. Duty over image, and Anne would be the one to enforce it. Camilla reportedly received the news while reviewing plans for an upcoming state banquet. According to one aide, the atmosphere around her dropped several degrees. Typically composed, she reportedly tensed, her jaw clenched, her voice tight. Behind closed doors, her usual restraint evaporated. Rumor has it she immediately summoned her senior advisors, demanding to know how Anne had the authority and the audacity to revoke a title so closely tied to her public role. Who had been informed beforehand? Who had failed to warn her? The humiliation cut deep. After all, Camilla's ascent to queen consort was no easy path, marked by decades of public backlash, constant comparisons to Princess Diana, and a long, deliberate charm offensive aimed at winning over both the press and the populace. A royal title is far more than decorative pageantry. It acts as a badge of legitimacy and an anchor of power. So when Princess Anne revoked one of Camilla's long-standing honors without even a private conversation, the wound cut deep. In the days that followed, Camilla went into what palace insiders call fortress mode, sticking strictly to pre-scheduled events and avoiding any scenario in which she might cross paths with Anne. Behind palace walls, she spent hours working the phones, sounding out trusted allies both inside and outside the monarchy, trying to determine whether Anne's move was a one-off provocation or the opening salvo in a broader campaign to weaken her. Buckingham Palace, keen to calm speculation, tried to pass it off as a routine administrative update. But inside the institution, the tension was unmistakable. Camilla knows better than most that in royal politics, perception rapidly becomes reality. And if she's seen as vulnerable now, others will feel empowered to take aim. As one insider said plainly, this wasn't about a title, it was about a warning. If she doesn't push back, it will happen again. Within the royal family, titles are not mere tradition. They are instruments of power and currency. Possessing them shapes where one ranks, how one is referenced, and how much influence one wields. Camilla's loss at the hands of her sister-in-law reverberated throughout that structure. At first, the consequences were subtle, but unmistakable. Royal photographers noted quiet shifts in seating at public engagements. Event schedules began to reflect fewer appearances alongside the most senior Windsor figures, except when she was at the king's side. Even the language in official briefings subtly changed, giving her a dimmer spotlight on matters of state. The message to the public began to crystallize. If Princess Anne, of all people, felt confident enough to deliver such a blow, then perhaps Camilla's role wasn't as secure as previously thought. Royal commentators and talk show pundits pored over every expression, seating plan, and diary change, searching for signs that her influence was faltering. The effect inside the palace was chilling. Previous supporters started keeping their distance, wary of being too closely tied to a figure now viewed as politically exposed. In the royal world, where influence depends on proximity to power, that kind of hesitation can be fatal. Historically, the stripping of a title often marks a turning point, the beginning of a quiet decline, where a royal figure is gradually edged out in favor of more popular or strategically useful players. For others, it represents a crack in the armor, a signal that invites open challenge. Camilla, ever sensitive to public perception and painfully aware of the long road she traveled to reach the throne, understands this better than anyone. Her fear now, say insiders, is that this loss could embolden critics who have long questioned her place beside the king and spark the beginning of a broader unraveling of her authority. One privilege lost, one role diminished, one engagement quietly scratched from the calendar. That's often how a royal's influence begins to erode. Given the monarchy's long memory, the slide from honored consort to sidelined figure can happen faster than anyone expects. Buckingham Palace's official response may have sounded dry and procedural, but the public's reaction was anything but. Within hours, social media exploded with memes, commentary, and side-by-side comparisons of Anne and Camilla at past events. Hashtags like #TeamAnne and #DethroneCamilla surged across UK timelines as fans sparred over whether the move was overdue tough love or an outrageous slight against the Queen consort. Traditional media seized the moment. Tabloids trumpeted a royal showdown, while more measured outlets examined the constitutional implications of a senior royal stripping another of a title. Several respected royal commentators argued Anne's decision was a deliberate signal, an attempt to restore discipline after years of tarnished optics around Camilla. Morning talk shows debated the symbolism. Was this bold modernization proving that no title was sacred, or was it simply personal, given Anne and Camilla's notoriously chilly history? Early Snap polls revealed a generational split. Older respondents saw Anne's move as overly harsh, while younger viewers overwhelmingly backed her, praising a merit-over-privilege stance. Inside Buckingham Palace, advisors reportedly watched the fallout closely, alarmed by an immediate dip in Camilla's approval ratings. The king stayed silent, a silence many interpreted as quiet approval of his sister's decision, isolating Camilla even more. The public may not have reached a clear verdict, but the damage to Camilla's standing was real. Regardless of whether it was framed as accountability or personal retribution, one fact was undeniable. Princess Anne had proven she could and would act decisively. And if she was willing to move against the Queen consort, no one in the House of Windsor could consider themselves untouchable. Despite the palace's attempts to define the revocation as a routine adjustment, it was no such thing. It was a bold maneuver aimed squarely at the royal chain of command, and delivered by the Princess Royal, one of its most seasoned enforcers. Camilla's pain isn't just in losing the title. It's in the way it was taken, without warning, by a sister-in-law who believed she had the right to do so. It's a stark reminder. Even as Queen consort, her authority is fragile, contingent on goodwill earned over decades, something Anne possesses in abundance. According to palace insiders, relations between the two women have grown frostier than ever. In public, they will smile, exchange small talk, and fulfill their duties flawlessly. Behind the scenes, the trust is gone, if it ever truly existed. And such a split is hard to mend, because it stems from fundamentally different ideas about what the monarchy should represent. The episode has only reinforced Princess Anne's image as guardian of tradition and discipline. For Camilla, it raises uncomfortable questions. How secure is her influence beside the king? Could others follow Anne's example? The Windsors have weathered countless scandals and rivalries, but this latest rupture proves their fiercest battles often begin from within. Episodes like this are never forgotten. They become part of the monarchy's living folklore, whispered about in palace corridors, studied by future historians, and endlessly debated by royal watchers. So what's the biggest question now? Is this the end of the story? Or the opening move in a slow, deliberate reshaping of royal power? Because if Princess Anne can revoke one title today, who's to say what she or someone else might strip away tomorrow? Where do you stand? Was Anne acting out of loyalty to the crown, protecting the institution from within? Or was this a personal reckoning years in the making? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breaking updates from inside the royal world, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next twist in this unfolding royal drama.